Hello, everyone. I have brought forth a story I named Bonds Thicker Than Blood from a series I hold dear. And though this is my fourth work, this is my first work to make it to YouTube as an audiobook. What you are going to listen to is the Musicless version, where only my voice will be reading along with subtitles. To those who are reading along with the subtitles, the four main characters will be color-coded when speaking. Their name and color will appear at the start of each chapter. If you wish to listen along with the music in the background for a more unique experience, there will be a link in the description for a music version. And if you would rather read it at your own pace, you can read the entirety of Bonds Thicker Than Blood at Javier the Great at AO3. Link will also be in the description. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Chapter 4. There really is a forest outside of town, Hotaru said, looking at the nearby forest south of Reeve, pressing onward, marching in a line to not get lost as they entered through the forest. Along with each step crunching the twigs and leaves beneath them, the sounds of birds and loud insects echo in the air. Thankfully, no monsters appear in sight, but they remain cautious as the tall trees block sunlight, creating many shadows for whatever unknown creatures are waiting to pounce. Hotaru has known of monsters to roam the land from her father and grandmother, though most are docile around the small island they reside on. That alone has her mind at peace, yet the looming thoughts of her mind corrupt her bliss. That shopkeeper in Reeve mentioned wanting to live behind the fortified walls of Romeria. What has he seen to come to that conclusion? I sure hope you know where you're going, Isamu whispered, keeping their location hidden as he scans around the group. So you're saying there is a cell that keeps dangerous prisoners around this part? Fidir asked. That's what the shopkeeper said, Hotaru responded, glancing her head around like her brother and rubbing her small arms as she felt her skin tingle. Hey, what if one of the prisoners lives in these woods? Isamu pondered with Hotaru snapping back as Fidir's face went white. Don't say things like that, you idiot. I'm already on edge about seeing a bear or giant spiders or something. Can we please not speak any more of this? Fidir begged, holding his staff with a tight grip, his face beading with sweat. Look there, Isamu shouted, pointing out an opening where the morning sun shines in all its glory. Ignoring their formation, they run like they're being chased and arrive in the light within seconds. The warm sun caresses their skin, and they take a moment to breathe as if re-emerging from underwater. The ominous sounds of the forest are gone, yet the birds' chirping remains. There even is a scent of flowers as a nearby structure lies nearby, which has been consumed by the surrounding nature. Fidir's shaky voice draws the others' attention to it. Is that it? I would assume so. Let's take a look, Hotaru commanded, once again taking the charge in their investigation. Upon closer inspection to the lone building, the iron bars at the front are rusted, and no matter the force Hotaru uses, it remains still. Peeking inside sadly doesn't help either, as other than the bars, the inside is completely pitch black. Isamu steps in front of her and squints his eyes, hoping for a better view. Hotaru, in the meantime, examines her surroundings, only to find Aziza blankly staring at the flowers. Hotaru watches her. Ever since they left Alihan, Aziza has been extremely quiet. She is usually quiet compared to the rest of the group, but something heavy seems to be occupying her mind, as even the unsettling forest has her unfazed, though she doesn't appear to be upset or scared, but rather lost. I think I found it, Fidir called out. With a quick spin, he waves over everyone to the back of the building, to where a dark staircase lies. The group surrounds it, and the darkness that awaits them is daunting, with only the first few steps being seen as if this staircase were to lead to the underworld. Isamu takes the lead, putting forth a confident front, even though his voice hasn't caught the memo. Well, stay close, and let's hope no monsters await us. The dark cave feels endless as they push forward for several minutes. There is no sight or smell, just the sound of their boots and the cold air that surrounds them. Hotaru keeps her hand on the sheath, remembering the warnings from the man in Reeve. Quickly she jumps to the sound of Isamu's grunts of pain as he holds his progression. What happened? Fidir worried at the back of the line. At this rate, we are going to draw the monsters with all of us yelling, Hotaru thought, trying to see through the darkness to avoid an ambush. Isamu turns towards the others while rubbing his head. There's a wall here. He readies his fist as he shouts obscenities, as if the wall is going to fight back. Hotaru places her hand on his shoulder with great force, and he stops his train of thought as footsteps shuffle in the distance. They are fast and light, with dozens following after each other like a centipede. They quiet their voices to only subtle breaths, slowly turning their head to the other side of the cave, where a pair of glowing yellow eyes watch them. They freeze in fear as the creature stares at them in silence. Nobody moves as each side waits for the other, but Isamu raises his fist, ready for the worst. The monster is moving closer, and even though its eyes grow larger, its steps remain silent. Isamu controls his breathing as this yellow-eyed creature slowly moves forward. With Fidir's green healing spell, he casts it upon Isamu to light his path, and the creature that stands before him is a cute rabbit with a single horn atop its head. "What is that?" Isamu whispered to the others. Despite their fear, the creature isn't hostile as it sniffs the air around them. It slowly moves past Isamu and straight to Aziza. The creature patiently sits in front of her with its big yellow eyes. "Aw, it's a bunnicorn." Aziza honeys her voice, kneeling down to it. "Do you want this?" She reaches into her bag to pull out a medicinal herb. She inches the green, fresh herb to its face where it sniffs it before nibbling away at the leaves. Aziza smiles at the cute rabbit as it happily eats away at the herb. "Why did you buy herbs?" Hotaru questioned with a shrug. "Well, they were for Reginald." "Who is Reginald?" "The horse," Fidir answered. "You named it? And where did you get the money to buy herbs?" Hotaru sighed as she looked at Aziza, who was in total bliss. "Never mind. Either way, looks like the monsters of the cave weren't that bad after all." She lifts her head and silences her voice as if it got stolen. The path forward where the bunnicorn came from now has dozens of yellow eyes looming in the darkness. "Aziza, how many of those herbs do you have?" Hotaru whispered, her hand shaking on the hilt of her blade. "Only a few," she answered as she smiled at the cute bunnicorn, who was nearly finished with the herb. Hotaru taps her shoulder. "Well, here's the thing." Aziza, like the others, freezes in place as she stares into their eyes. "That would explain why things were so quiet. So what do you suggest we do? Hand me the rest of your herbs." Aziza, without a second thought, hands her the remaining 2 that she has. Hotaru takes them and crushes them between her hands, while still keeping her eyes on the other bunnicorns. Their eyes widen to each crunch the leaves make, and its fresh smell slowly draws them closer. Taking a deep breath, and with a toss into the air, the leaves scatter like confetti. They hold their weapons tight, and the silence breaks. "Run!" Hotaru shouted as the horde of bunnicorns darted to their position. They reach the top of the staircase, battered and bruised, Isamu looking the worst as he has hundreds of dirty footprints on his clothes. Each of them spew heavy breaths that barely escape their lips as if they choked on smoke. "Please tell me we made it," Isamu cried as he laid on the ground, tightly holding his wounds. "Why were there so many of them? It was like an ocean wave." Fidir kneels down to him, tending to his wound. However, his staff no longer has a warm glow, signifying the lack of energy he carries, helplessly waving around the staff like a banner. "If this ain't it, then I'm going home," Hotaru whined as she glanced up at the massive tower. Scanning the premise, it has to be Dreamer's Tower, as off into the distance the bridge at where they first saw it is visible. "Hey, it's you guys!" a voice from inside the tower called out. They all turned to face inside to find the shopkeeper from Reeve, waving at them with a smile. "How did you get here?" Hotaru shouted back. "I got an underground pathway from my house that I built that leads me straight here. I figured going through my stock of medicinal herbs just to convince Roy to return those books would lose me tons of profit." The middle-aged man's face is oblivious to the chaos which has happened moments ago, yet his words are taunting like a childhood bully. "Keep it together," she thought to herself as Fidir and Aziza are trying to draw her attention away like a performer in a bull ring. "Why wouldn't you offer us a safe passage if you knew we were coming here?" Hotaru whispers, clutching her fist and grinding her teeth. "As I said, I have a kid on the way. I can't have strangers waltzing into my home. Now that would be outrageous." "Outrageous," The nerve! Her breathing grows heavy, and her blood boils as her face heats up. Vidir lifts up from Isamu after attempting to heal his injuries, and places a hand on her shoulder. Please try to forgive him as the goddess would, and try to look at things from his perspective. His words fall on deaf ears as she glares at him like a rabid beast, ready to tear him apart. Tell you what, the shopkeeper says, finally nervous about the frustrated girl's wrath. It looks like you guys have been through a lot, especially your friend on the ground there. I got a pot of soup just about ready. Let's say we eat up and rest. Please don't ruin this, Hotaru, Aziza begged, holding her other shoulder with the other hand grasping her thin stomach. We haven't eaten a proper meal since we left home. She has the least amount of wounds compared to everyone, but her precious satchel which contained dozens of snacks belonged to the bunnicorn now. Then this better be the best damn soup I've ever had, Hotaru answered, and the shopkeeper lends a helping hand as they carry Isamu to a cozy room with several old cots. Fresh meats and vegetables fill the air, a pleasant smell that soothes the body. As they lay Isamu down, the others rest their weary bodies haphazardly along the corners of the warm room.